Hi and welcome to this first assembly tutorial that I'm about to begin with. In this tutorial we will learn how to use basic programming commands in assembly. We have to remember that assembly is the most low-level programming language that we have that we ever had in computer science. It is based eventually on the processor, and for that reason, each assembly language will be a bit different depending on the processor we're going to use. In this specific tutorial, we will work on the x86 basic processor, which is one of the first ones that was ever created. We have to be aware that today we have different kind of processors. For example, ARM processors, and it's a very used processor today, and mainly in mobile phones. And maybe in those processors we will find different kind of commands, right? But the idea is the same. Commands will develop a basic programs that can be translated to different languages without any problem. First, to start with all that, and because I'm using a program that is emulating the machine that I used many years ago, the program itself is a bit old. So it's not compatible with Windows 10, neither Windows 7. You may need to either run it in compatibility mode or use the virtual machine that I've prepared for this tutorial. I've uploaded it. It's in the below link. You can download the WXP OVA, which is it's a virtual machine you can use, which has the EasyCPU already, the app that we're going to use, which is called EasyCPU. It's already installed. I'm going to use that for the tutorials. You can find any other app if you feel better using a different app. The truth is that this app is very comfortable to understanding precisely how everything works, how everything moves around, etc. So once you download this file, you have to have the virtual box installed in your computer, either Mac or Windows, doesn't really matter. VirtualBox is the Oracle VirtualBox. So you can see you can download the 6.0, which is free, and you can use it to launch the virtual machine I'm using for this tutorial. Once you have that app installed and you have the file downloaded, you can either double click on the machine. It will ask you to import the machine into the VirtualBox. You will say okay, you don't have to change anything. And once it's imported, you will see something like this. The VirtualBox will open. You will have a list of machines. You already have one, and you can start it. Now I already started the machine, and it looks like this. But this is the app itself. So it should look like this. Okay. EasyCPU, which is the app we're going to use for the tutorial, it should be installed already because I prepared it like that. And you can either use it for other things too. I mean, this is a Windows XP distribution. You can either go into the internet and it should work. Didn't really test it. Okay, great. And why it's in Portuguese, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. You can either change it or whatever. You can play with the keyboards down here or whatever. Okay, great. So what is the app we're going to use? In the app we're going to use, it's called, by the way, before I pass by, you can change the size of the screen if you want. If you, for example, extend it, you can change it you have to change it from inside. You should, the size I've put it by default is let's see if we settings. Okay, it's 1024 by 768 pixels, but you can even put it like bigger if your computer supports it, or smaller, doesn't really matter. I will put it as big as I can. Okay, and yes, let's keep it like this, for example. Great. Okay, so you can see it well, maybe a bit bigger. Let's see if it fits better. Great, I think that because it's getting smaller down here, I'm not sure if maybe the last one is, no. Okay, sorry, there we go. Okay, so let's get into it a bit to explain to you how it works in EasyCPU. So I'm gonna close it before we continue. You have to double click EasyCPU. You will see that it's made, well, it's an app made in Israel. It's between 95 and 96. It's very old. It doesn't really matter. For our class, for our tutorial, what we need is truly to be able to see these elements that we see on the screen, and later on the possibility to create a new app. I always recommend looking at the advanced mode. It's always good because then we have more elements on screen. You can drag and drop all the views, and I will in the tutorial, in the following parts of the tutorials, I will explain what it means each one of the things here. There are some things who are different today, like the registers are not exactly the same, but for this tutorial, my interest is for you to understand the basic flow of a programming language and what are all the programming language based on. We have to understand that assembly is the father of, or mother, whatever, is the predecessor of all the programming languages, and all the programming languages use this as their basic as to mirror, right, this system under it. And as the last part of this first video, I can explain to you how I can also tell you that, for example, assembly is used a lot to develop and program microchips, firmware software, which is very, very optimized. Assembly language is the most optimized of languages possible, and even many times you combine assembly with other languages to execute all kind of codes, including security codes and etc. So, as a last part of this tutorial, I would like to explain to you what do we have to do once we want to develop. Let's see. As you can see, I pressed here the new file button. This is very important because it's the app itself comes with a file. When we put open, we're gonna see it, called untitled.asm. If we change this file, and this is very important, if we change this file and we save it, we will lose the template. This, as you can see, is a made-up template. So I always urge everyone to save as all the files that when we're gonna start developing or to program, we always have to change the name of the file and put, for example, tutorial1.asm. Okay, it's telling me that it is invalid. Okay, we cannot put numbers. Okay, you have to bear with me. This app is very old, but the idea here is that it will allow us to understand the basics. From here, you can use other simulators on the web and try your own experiments. Great. So see you in the next video. We're gonna start developing our first app.